What's up, guys? Welcome to March 9th as we dive into Numbers chapter 30. Then Moses summoned the leaders of the tribes of Israel and told them, "This is what the Lord has commanded. A man who makes a vow to the Lord or makes a pledge under oath must never break it. He must do exactly what he said he would do. If a young woman makes a vow to the Lord or a pledge under oath while she is still living at her father's home, and her father hears of the vow or pledge and does not object to it, then all her vows and pledges will stand. But if her father refuses to let her fulfill the vow or pledges on the day he hears of it, then all her vows and pledges will become invalid. The Lord will forgive her because her father will not let her fulfill them. Now suppose a young woman makes a vow or binds herself with an impulsive pledge and later marries. If her husband learns of her vow or pledge and does not object on the day he hears of it, her vows and pledges will stand. But if her husband refuses to accept her vow or impulsive pledge on the day he hears of it, he nullifies her commitments, and the Lord will forgive her. However, if a woman is a widow or is divorced, she must fulfill all her vows and pledges. But suppose a woman is married and living in her husband's home when she makes a vow or binds herself with a pledge. If her husband hears of it and does not object to it, her vow or pledge will stand. But if her husband refuses to accept it on the day he hears of it, her vow or pledge will be nullified and the Lord will forgive her. So her husband may either confirm or nullify any vows or pledges she makes to deny herself. But if he does not object on the day he hears of it, then he is agreeing to all her vows and pledges. If he waits more than a day and tries to nullify a vow or pledge, he will be punished for her guilt. These are the regulations the Lord gave Moses concerning relationships between a man and his wife and between a father and a daughter who still lives at home. Chapter 31. Then the Lord said to Moses, "On behalf of the people of Israel, take revenge of the Midianites for leading them into idolatry. After that you will die and join your ancestors." So Moses said to the people, "Choose some men and arm them to fight the Lord's war of revenge against Midian. From each tribe of Israel, send 1,000 men into battle." So they chose 1,000 men from each of the tribe. A total of 12,000 men are armed for battle. Then Moses sent them out, 1,000 men from each tribe, and Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, led them into battle. They carried along the holy objects of the sanctuary and the trumpets for sounding the charge. They attacked Midian as the Lord had commanded Moses, and they killed all the men. All five of the Midianite kings, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and killed all the men. And Reba died in the battle. They also killed Balaam, son of Beor, with the sword. Then the Israelite armies captured the Midianite women and children and seized their cattle and flocks and all their wealth as plunder. They burned all the towns and villages where the Midianites had lived. After they had gathered the plunder and captives, both people and men, they brought them all to Moses and Eleazar the priest and to the whole community of Israel, which was camped on the plains of Moab beside the Jordan River. Across from Jericho, Moses, Eleazar the priest, and all the leaders of the community went to meet them outside the camp. But Moses was furious with all the generals and captains who had returned from the battle. "Why have you let all the women live?" he demanded. "These are the very ones who followed Balaam's advice and caused the people of Israel to rebel against the Lord at Mount Peor. They are the ones who caused the plague to strike the Lord's people. So kill all the boys and all the women who had intercourse with a man. Only the young girls who are virgins may live. You may keep them for yourselves, and all of you who have killed anyone or touched a dead body must stay outside the camp for 7 days. You must purify yourselves and your captives on the 3rd and 7th days. Purify all your clothing too, and everything made of leather, goat, hair, or wood." Then Eleazar the priest said to the men who were in the battle, "The Lord has given Moses this legal requirement. Anything made of gold, silver, bronze, iron, tin, or lead, that is, all metals that do not burn, must be passed through, further purified with the water of purification. But everything that burns must be purified by the water alone. On the 7th day you must wash your clothes and be purified. Then you may return to the camp." And the Lord said to Moses, "You and Eleazar the priest and the family leaders of each tribe are to make a list of all the plunder taken in the battle, including the people and animals. Then divide the plunder into 2 parts and give half to the men who fought in the battle and half to the rest of the people. From the army's portion, first give the Lord his share of the plunder, 1 of every 500 of the prisoners, and of the cattle, donkeys, sheep, and goats. Give this share of the army's half to Eleazar the priest as an offering to the Lord." From the half that belongs to the people of Israel, take 1 of every 50 of the prisoners, and of the cattle, donkeys, sheep, goats, and other animals. Give this share to the Levites who are in charge of maintaining the Lord's tabernacle. So Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord commanded Moses. The plunder remaining from everything the fighting men had taken totaled 675,000 sheep and goats, 72,000 cattle, 61,000 donkeys, and 32,000 virgin girls. Half of the plunder was given to the fighting men. It totaled 337,500 sheep and goats, of which 675 were the Lord's share, 36,000 cattle, of which 72 were the Lord's share, 30,500 donkeys, of which 61 were the Lord's share, and 16,000 virgin girls, of whom 32 were the Lord's share. Moses gave all the Lord's share to Eleazar the priest, just as the Lord had directed him. Half of the plunder belonged to the people of Israel, and Moses separated it from the half belonging to the men. It totaled 337,500 sheep and goats, 36,000 cattle, 30,500 donkeys, and 16 virgin girls. From the half share given to the people, Moses took one of every 50 prisoners and animals and gave them to the Levites, who maintained the Lord's tabernacle. All this was done as the Lord had commanded Moses. Then all the generations and captains came to Moses and said, "We, your servants, have accounted for all the men who went out to battle under our command. Not one of us is missing. So we are presenting the items of gold we captured as an offering to the Lord from our share of the plunder: armbands, bracelets, rings, earrings, and necklaces. This will purify our lives before the Lord and make us right with him." So Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from the military commanders, all kinds of jewelry and crafted objects, and all the gold that the generals and captains presented as a gift to the Lord weighed about 420 pounds. All the fighting men had taken some of the plunder for themselves, so Moses brought the gold to the tabernacle as a reminder to the Lord that the people of Israel belonged to him. And so with that, that's the end for March 9th. I'm just trying to think of like, I guess the main part that just stood out to me is probably just like the whole making promises and how like people should how do I say, people should honor their promises, honor their words, I guess. And so I felt like in chapter 30, yes, it's talking about like the whole like different vows and pledges being made between a daughter and a father and a husband and a wife, but like I felt like it could go a lot beyond just that. Like you could make pledges and vows with friends about certain things, and you will be honorable if you can honor your words by doing what you say you will do, the things that you say, so that no mistrust can be built up within the relationship. I don't know. It's like obviously marriages is like a totally different subject. It's like it's just because like I don't fully understand it myself. But yeah, it's I don't know, like this, the vows between husband and wife, it kind of more of like a sensitive topic to me, because like for the past 2 years, I think, with my parents being like separating and all that stuff, it just feels like with them being separated and then getting divorced, it's like I have a lot of conflicted feelings about it, because like obviously there are toxic moments within the relationships I've observed, but like at the end of the day, it's like I believe that people could fix their relationships if both parties do actually trying things. I just feel like in general these days, me and my dad were just having a conversation the other day of him asking like, what was like a healthy family? What does a healthy family look like? And who may be some healthy families I've been around? And it was really sad, because it's like I could only come up with like 2, maybe 1, maybe 2, and it just makes me realize like how broken our country is when it comes to marriages. It's like it feels like marriages doesn't really matter a whole lot anymore. People break up, people getting divorced every single day. I feel like in different parts of the country, it just makes me feel like this country is far from being honoring to God. As much as we like to claim that we want to do things that honor God, we're like the most honorable country in the world. It's like, no, we're not. If we can't keep the basics down, it's like, how does that make us honorable among other nations? So, and with that, it's like, and it also comes with like promises. It's like we break promises all the time. It just makes me feel like, at this point, just don't make promises, I guess, in a sense, so that you don't go disappointing each other, and stuff. So yeah, that stood out to me, obviously. I guess the other part that stood out to me is like it shows like another character of God is like God is not someone who like really he's not a selfish God in a sense where if his servants want something, like he would take all of the things that they were able to gain, like for example from the battle, they were able to gain so much animals and stuff. But like God is like, He took very little portions of His servants' resources. It just makes me realize it's like, I don't know, it's like in a sense where God blessed us with a lot of things, and all He asks us is He asks very little of us in return. And again, like that comes with faith. It's like it does not take a lot to have faith in God. I don't really understand why people make such a big deal about like how you need like scientific evidence to prove the existence of God, or that Jesus died. Is like, what's, for me it's like, why are you so stubborn to think that like God doesn't exist? It's like I keep giving people the things like everything exists, but if you say that God doesn't exist or nothing created these things, like it doesn't make any sense for nothing to create things, because nothing is nothing. It has no volume, it has no soul, it has no body and shape, and so it doesn't make any sense for us to exist out of nothingness, basically. But yeah, it's like, unfortunately, they're just stubborn people in the world that just, they let their pride and they let their hearts be hardened to the point where they don't want to believe in the most basic thing in the world. So yeah, other than that, I don't have anything else to share. So may you guys go out and walk with God.